Hi, my name is Nick Wadenstorer with RoboTicS Systems, and welcome to the Virtual Fabrication Seminar. This edition in the three-part series of the Robo SawJet Advantage is about the robot. In terms of timing today, what we're going to do is we're going to get the system up and running because what we want to be able to produce to you today is showing you the reasons people buy robots is for the material savings and for reduction of the downstream labor. So we'll start real quick. We'll get started with Alan. We're going to take a photo of this slab. We'll get the robot moving and we'll start cutting. And then I'll go ahead and explain to you why people buy robots with buying sawjets. So he's got a picture. And again, we're going to be able to tightly nest this material. We're going to take these pieces and snap them together for common line cutting, reducing the number of cuts that you have to make, and saving on your material. So now we've got them all put into place. We're going to set our parameters here. We'll apply our tool path with a simple auto prep button. Tells us where we're going to saw cut and water jet cut. We're going to send that out to the robot. It's going to run into our Robo Commander. And then we'll be able to get started. First thing it's going to do is it's going to measure the thickness of the blade to make sure that it's cutting all the way to the bottom of the material, and it'll get rolling. So I'll let this machine get moving, and we'll get cutting. So as everybody knows, with RoboTicS Systems, we provide a solution for every fabricator, from the robotic SawJet, which is where we're known, to 5-axis saws, and routers in two different sizes, the Edge Sync Pro and the Edge XL. We also have a mitering machine on the market, which we did in our first virtual fabrication seminar. And so if you're interested in creating the perfect miters, please go back and check out that one. The first thing you'll notice with the robot is that it's going to saw cut all of the material, and then it'll turn around and water jet cut. So RoboTicS Systems has been around for 34 years, or our primary, Chuck Russo, the owner, has been around for 34 years. We are a leader in water jet technology, and we've provided robots in all different industries today, over 4,000 of them. And in the stone industry today, we are exclusive to KUKA for a number of reasons that I'll get into later. Again, we're located here in Lake Orion, Michigan, which is in the heart of Automation Alley, where we have a lot of robotic automation companies that supply the automotive sector here in Detroit, Michigan. We have over 450 systems installed in the stone industry today alone, providing the best possible cutting sawjet on the market, the most reliable, smallest footprint, fastest working machine, with the highest uptime and lowest total cost of ownership. So we talked originally last time in our virtual fabrication seminar about our labor costs and why you go digital, the material costs, saving you up to 10%, 15% sometimes on the commercial jobs. You know, you go into the quality of the finished product, being able to cut your sinks and your faucets and your radiuses and scribe back walls and make the parts fit better, make the quality of the sink cutouts and the radiuses perfect every time, is dramatically different from trying to do that hand with your grinders into today doing it with the water jet and increasing the capacity all at the same time. So we're fortunate enough today, we've got a customer from upstate New York, JD, that'll be on with us today, who is a manual shop and converted digital, and I'm sure you'll hear some of the same sentiments that he's going to say as well in terms of increasing his capacity. We're also reducing fabrication errors. You know, we know that sinks get cut off center. We know faucets get placed in the wrong places. We know that large radiuses on islands are extremely difficult to cut and make, and oftentimes end with flat spots. The water jet reduces a lot of that. And then finally, you're able to create additional value to your customers through vein matching, through speed from time to template to installation, you know, and really making sure that quality is there. So, combination saw, water jet. We've got two different options today. We've got the Robo SawJet that you see, and we've got the 5-axis version that is now released called Robolution that will miter cut blade and jet all the way around the table. So, but quickly you can see that on the SawJet combination, that typically with a manual saw or even with a 5-axis saw is a 2-slab job. By having a SawJet and laying the slab down and being able to cut and shape the parts in one process, you're able to save that material so you don't have to buy another slab. So you don't have to have that half hour of unload time on your saw and then turn around and have another hour worth of cutting in order to get more parts off of the next slab. And then you look at it and you say, man, you can see the cycle times that the guys have as well, right? 23-minute cycle times on a job like this. You move to, this is one of my favorites, a classic, 5% material waste. This job was done in about 35 minutes with all the faucets, backsplash cut to size, everything shaped. Immediately take this to a polish or to a router. And so again, material savings alone with the amount of business that you do, and you look at your total revenue and take 30% of that, often is what the cost of goods are, and we can reduce that cost of goods. A lot of times customers don't realize that they're spending the money through material purchasing, that what they could be spending purchasing a robot that provides you all sorts of different value, additional value inside of your business. So I commonly ask my customers, you know, how much do you pay for a slab? And how many slabs do you cut every day? And then you can quickly, you know, extrapolate the numbers on what you would save a year. And simply 5 slabs a day is a big difference into your bottom line. You convert that into labor savings for every slab, not having to spend the time finding the sink centers, drilling the faucet holes, making those radiuses, but simply pulling the parts off and starting to polish. And the labor savings tremendously in the shop and in the field will save you a lot of money. And so you can increase your business while not even having to add additional headcount on this machine, with this machine. As well, we'll get phone calls. Customers will call us up and say, hey, I need to buy a CNC router. And after digging into their business a little bit, you'll find out that they don't need to buy another router, but the addition of a SawJet can increase the capacity on the routers. By not having to run the router bits, by not having to drill those faucet holes, you can immediately, if you have a router in your business today, you can cut out all of the router bit time, which is about 30% of that time, and go straight to a Super Z, allowing for more capacity on the machines in the back of the shop that take the longest to produce, which is your routers. So again, 2 different versions of the routers. I've got the Robo SawJet, and then we've got now the 5-axis Robolution Pro, which is blade mitering and jet mitering across the table. So if you understand why the SawJet is the best process in the business, and you turn around and you look at all of the gantry style solutions that you have, and then you look at Bacchus Systems, which is completely different with our motion control system being a robot, you'll wonder, why do so many customers convert to robots? The number one reason is the lowest total cost of ownership. There's no doubt that people love the SawJet process. However, when you turn around and you have to maintenance that gantry style machine with the lineal guides and the rails and the ball screws, and you have to take the bellow covers off or replace the bellow covers at, you know, $8,000 to $10,000, or deal with the high pressure lines being routed through the cat tracks, you find that the lowest cost of ownership comes through the robot, where you don't have to do any maintenance for 5 years or 10,000 hours. So you look at a study of robots out in other industries today. This is 3,000 robots running in 24 hours worth of operation in multiple different industries, and that's a blind study of their reliability. And again, 5 years, 10,000 hours. So consider your car motor, which has, you know, sealed gears, and then you just put some oil in it, and your car motor is able to run for thousands of RPMs at thousands of miles before you need the oil replacement. It's very, very similar with the robot, where I can take each one of those 6 axes and I can seal those joints. I can put oil into them, and the environment to the stone industry, the garnet, the abrasives, the water, all of that is completely sealed out, and so those joints last so much longer than, you know, when you're using those bellows and you're using the gears where you're not able to seal the joints, but you're just constantly going ahead and pushing through oil to them, and it's getting dust inside of them, and you ultimately end up having to replace them. So, who is KUKA and why do we use KUKA? Chuck Russo is going to join us a little later, and he's going to tell us about why he decided to use KUKA for the stone industry. But KUKA is a global company. They are massive in terms of their sizing, in terms of their different industries that they cover. And so, you know, they are commonly known as highest accuracy, tightest tolerance robots on the market. And in our industry, we need those kind of things. So when you look at the other industries that they're capable of covering and what they're really known for, you'll see that robots are used in all different applications. And KUKA plays in every one of those, and in different industries is known as the most accurate robot out there. So I can go ahead and I can tell you that my support is also all around the country, although KUKA Systems has taken the wherewithal to go out and get our own technicians trained for KUKA and get our own technicians trained for H2O Jet. So you don't have to go anywhere else. You can simply buy from KUKA Systems, and we will support all the way top to bottom the software that we write, the KUKA robots that we provide, and the H2O Jet pumps that need the maintenance on them. So, one major key reason why you buy a robot is because of the capital equipment investment and the ability to be able to grow and scale your business. I can take a single table system today, put it in your shop. We can get you up and running. We can get your business growing. I can provide you more capacity than you have with your manual bridge saws. And then when your business continues to grow up and you're ready for another machine, you don't have to buy a whole nother $300,000 machine. You can simply just add a double table and double your production. And so when you look at the difference of a total investment comparison between taking the steps from a manual saw to a CNC saw, to a single table SawJet, to a dual table SawJet, and you look at what you spent in just your cutting for different solutions, and then you say, hey, listen, I have a manual saw now, I'm going to buy a single table SawJet, and then when I grow up, I'll just add a second table. The total capital equipment dollars that you spend with a robot is dramatically different than what you're going to get out of a gantry style solution. The other really nice thing on the robot that's different from the gantries is the easy access. You'll see Alan here today when we're unloading this table. We have 3 sides of access. I don't have to stand up on top of the machine. I don't have to go and put my guys at risk walking on a dangerous table. They can simply grab the parts, 3 sides, and pull them off and right onto a cart. So the access to the machine is much better than what you get out of the gantries. Another thing that commonly gets overlooked is getting these big machines inside of the buildings. With the robot, you got nothing more than 8,000 pounds. Everything's got fork pockets on it. And so I can pick up the machine, put it into place with an 8,000 pound forklift. You don't get that with the gantry style machines. These things are huge. They require rigging crews in order to be able to move it in. And so that $5,000, $8,000 is a cost factor that you're not expecting until it's time to move in. And so you've got to be cognizant of the soft cost savings that you get off of using a robot. The other thing that we like to do with in terms of the robot and programming is it's very flexible. So I can use hard stops. I can use cameras. I can be able to photo parts upstream. So whether or not you're a small shop and you want to program on the floor in front of the machine, or you're a big shop running super high volume and you want to do everything in the office pre-programmed so your operators are just hitting hard stops and pressing go, the robot is flexible enough in its software to be able to do that. Accuracy. Our competitors are constantly pushing on us on accuracy. They create doubt in our customers' minds as we're talking to them. And so we've done accuracy testings with the machine. They're highly reliable. They're highly accurate machines. You can see this 8-foot piece of backslash that we cut and took measurements on 3 parts of the machine all the way stretched out. The reality is I can sit there and I can put a dial indicator on the edge of this table and I can tell you the thickness of the paint on the blade. But all of that being put aside, I like to just go back and say, you know, maybe when Baka Systems was new, that was a real question for people who didn't understand robots. But today we have dozens of customers with multiple machines, 2, 3, 4, 10 robots in plants. And they continuously keep coming back and buying Baka Systems because they are highly accurate and highly reliable machines. The diagnostic system on the robot is also extremely friendly. It's easy enough for a customer when they're having an issue to be able to click on the challenge and troubleshoot themselves. But if Baka needs to dig in and we need to get online, we can simply go on here. We can look at the diagnostics and we can tell you a lot of information rather than whether or not you just got the program right. But we can really dig into what maybe the technical issues may be and support you over the phone for a quick and accurate response. We also put VFD on these machines and we simplify the electrical cabinet so you don't have a lot of parts in there, so you don't have a lot of issues. And then the VFD allows you to be able to cut any material, porcelain, quartzites, quartz, granite, you name it. If you need to change the blade motor RPM, it is a standard feature on our machine and not an option. So with that being said, I think my timing might be perfect. Got the slab done being cut. The nice thing about the dual table is Alan is going to immediately fire it up. We're going to start cutting on the other side. So while that's being cut, we're going to come in here and we're going to come and look at the parts and show you really the advantage of having this SawJet. Now mind you, I didn't turn the table. I didn't have to tilt the table. All I did was set the part down, and in 14 minutes, I've cut 3 sinks, 4 faucet holes. My radius is done, my L piece is great. So we'll have Alan come in, we'll pull this sink part out in order to show you what it looks like. Again, 3 sides of access, as you can see. I can quickly get up and around, get over to the parts, peel my pieces off. I got my backsplash in here that's cut to size. And so we'll get this. Alan, if you got another vacuum, we'll grab that and we'll yank this thing out of the way. Ready? All right. So what's great, you could do that. I could have a cart right here. I could just put it onto this cart and we can move it out. But Danielle, if you want to come over here and take a look, you can see this. This is ready to polish, right? Now I can throw this on my CNC and run a Super Z and start polishing it. But really, my faucets are done. This back wall would be cut to size. My radiuses on the inside corners are done. And as you can see, my backsplash is also cut free and loose and ready to go. And then I've got 2 more sinks in there. So we'll let that thing continue to keep processing. And we'll take this up front where we've got Chuck Russo, President, CEO, with us in order to talk to us about why he chose KUKA in all of the experience that he has with robotics, why he decided to use this rather than the other robotic manufacturers that he had in the past. And then we've got 3 other customers with us today that are here to answer your questions, tell about their experiences. We've got a couple from that have used 2 different gantry style manufacturers. So both having gantry sawjets from different vendors. that have now switched to robots. And then we've got another customer that is a smaller customer that went from a Blue Ripper and is just a manual shop and has got the single table SawJet. So we'll get this started here with Chuck Russo. All right. Well, we're going to start now, and we'll get Chuck Russo on the screen as well and talk to him about his previous work experience, life, and really how we've gotten to where we are today with BACA Systems. So we'll switch the screen over and get Chuck. Hi, Chuck.
Hi, Nick. Thanks very much for the introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I wanted to invite you here. Obviously, we wanted to talk about a couple things. One is, I think it's really important that people understand your past experiences with robots. So we'll start from there, and then really how you got to KUKA for BACA Systems.
Sure. Thanks again, Nick. It's very important to choose the right motion system for the application. And so, I have over 30 years experience in robotic automation. Started in 1985, and in 1988, we started doing robotic water jet cutting systems. One of the common threads between the stone industry and the other industries that we served at that time were those customers were all using 5-axis gantries to cut their products. And these companies ran 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They needed very highly reliable and low-cost operating systems. And so another company that I owned and operated called RPT, as time went on from 1988 on to 2006, we sold over 4,000 robots for water jet cutting. And all those companies had used gantry-style machines in the past and had moved to the robots for the reliability and the productivity and the minimal maintenance that you talked about, Nick. And so that's a really important piece, and we have an extensive background in water jet cutting over the last 30 years, as well as robotic technology. And going back to your question, why KUKA? Why did BACA pick KUKA? And the reason why is KUKA is first and foremost, they're one of the largest global robotic companies. But the underlying reason we chose KUKA, sure, they're over $3 billion company, have over 8,000 employees. But the real reason is they are absolutely known to have the most accurate and rigid robots, and it's needed for this application. So KUKA is by far the most accurate robot and the correct robot for this application. In fact, there have been other people that have tried to follow BACA in the market by trying to use a robot. And there's many customers that are not happy with the products that have been applied, not by BACA, but by other companies. So we choose KUKA really for the reliability, the productivity, but the rigidity and the accuracy that we can obtain. And that's why we exclusively work with KUKA.
Excellent. And so I think you answered really both of my questions, but to be clear, when you were going through and developing this SawJet process, was it only KUKA that you had used, or did you try other robots before developing the Robo SawJet?
No, Nick, we absolutely don't just jump and start applying a product without benchmarking and testing. So certainly in the early days of BACA, before we went to market, we did go ahead and benchmark and test robots, and we knew the data we were going to find, but we went ahead and validated. And so very, very successfully using KUKA.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Chuck. I appreciate your time. We're going to start now with really chatting with our guests that are with us. And so, I think we've got Bobby with Hard Rock Stoneworks and JD with Red Leaf Milling and Fred with Hallmark Stone. And so, gentlemen, I appreciate all of your time joining us. I'd like to start, so I'm looking at the screen. I see Bobby, JD, and Fred. We'll start with Bobby and work our way over. And if you guys could give me maybe 30 seconds background of your company, really how you guys started and where you're at today.
Yeah, so my name's Robert Finn, Hard Rock Stoneworks. I'm the vice president here. 22 years experience in the stone business. Started when I was 17 years old. Currently, Hard Rock manufactures about 500,000 square foot. We're a nationwide company. Average about 10,000 square feet a week. Roughly about 140 kitchens a week with a lot of commercial stuff in big box stores.
Excellent. JD?
Hey, Nick. Thanks for inviting me to this. Appreciate the opportunity to talk with everybody today. With respect to the spectrum of businesses, we are a small family-owned business that has two distinct halves to it. We're a custom millwork cabinetry shop on one half, and we are a stone surface fabricator on the other. So as far as the contribution to the conversation today, I will probably be the guy that talks a little bit about being a fully manual, quite primitive shop that is now at least semi-digital with, certainly digital with what we're doing with our cutting operation. I love the intro when you said about having a blue ripper. If we had had a blue ripper, I would have been even happier because it was actually more primitive than that. So I can tell you right now, it was a quantum leap for us. So that's kind of where we're at as a business, and I'm looking forward to answering the questions and whatnot. Excellent.
Thank you, JD. Fred?
Yep.
Yeah, hi, I'm Fred Kristen, Hallmark Stone. Very similar time frame from Hard Rock. We've been in business for 22 years. We currently fabricate about 40 kitchens a day, right under 2,000 square feet a day, mixed between big box business, kitchen and bath shops, builders, and commercial work fairly evenly. Pretty much fully digital, running 4 CNCs, 2 sawjets, and then line edging machines. Yeah, the BACA has taken us to the next level, and with the capacity increase that we've had this year, we wouldn't be able to survive had we not installed it in December. With Premier countertops going upside down in December, we inherited about an increase of about 20% of business overnight, and we had just had the BACA installed in December, so a month before. They had gotten us, before their technician left, though, they had gotten us so we were almost fully productive on the machine before their trainer even left. So it has worked out really, really well.
Excellent. Excellent. Fred, I was going to ask you, and you kind of segued right into it. Tell me, how was the experience from the time you guys decided we were going to put in a BACA, until that launch process? How did that go for you guys?
Obscenely quickly, and why I say that is we were lucky enough, all the stars happened to align, and we had scheduled the BACA installation and thinking that it was going to be in January at some point in time, when BACA had another shop that was ordering almost the identical machine that we were ordering. Their production or their construction of the shop got delayed, and so Nick had called us up and said, Fred, how does 2 or 3 weeks from now look instead of 2.5 months from now? And we were lucky that we were replacing a dual-tabled manual saw. So that saw had already been taken out of commission, and we had the space getting ready for it already. So we jumped right into it. The great thing about it was when the trainer came, or for the installers came, we were ready for them. They got it installed, and when the trainer came, since we had been using a Northwood SawJet for, 6 years or so, our guys were pretty well versed. They had already gone up to BACA and spent the week training. The 3 primary guys had spent the week training at BACA. All 3 of them were very, very technical. So when the trainer got here, the actual need for just basic training and understanding the software, we were pretty much there. So the trainer spent his time focused, and he basically said, hey, I'm not leaving. I understand you guys got the basic training done, but we want to get you fully productive. So when I leave here on Friday, you guys are producing at the same level on this saw as or more on this saw than you were using on the other saw that you've had for 6 years. And that actually happened. And luckily it did, because literally 2 weeks after that, we were informed that Premier Countertops was going out of business, and we were hammered with requests for picking up the jobs that they kind of fall through the cracks and that additional volume. And we would not have been able to do that had we not had that the BACA installed and our guys fully up to speed on using it. I've never had a trainer. I think I called Nick after the guy left and said, I've never had a trainer that was so into making sure that it wasn't just that we knew how to use the machine and run the software, but that we understood the fastest and quickest way to load the saws, and just all the logistics that go into it with staging and everything else, so that we were fully ready and fully capable to use the saw in a high volume productive atmosphere.
Excellent. Fred, thank you so much. I know you guys did a lot of research beforehand. We were chatting with you guys a while, and I know you called a lot of our references, in order to talk to them, which is an important part for us, understanding that you did some homework to it. And so we appreciate your business, and thank you very much again for spending the time. JD, I'd like to take some time with you and just ask you, maybe what's the largest impact this has done for a smaller shop? I think a lot of people, look at the BACA SawJet and they believe it's for big businesses, and certainly it is a production machine. But coming from where you are with the business that you have is certainly a large portion of the fabricators out in the marketplace today. And so, I'd love to understand your experience and where you were and what it's done for you today.
Sure. I mean, that's a great question. Well, we realized quite quickly, all the things that we went into this equipment purchase with those expectations of higher efficiency and improvements in quality, not just quality of cuts, but quality of fit on the job site. All of those things that have already been kind of talked about and handled real well and represented well were things that we noticed immediately. But some of the stuff that was, I'm going to say, unintended benefits, we recognize as a small business, and we had to justify this equipment purchase because for us it represented not just a quantum leap for technology for us, but also from just sheer production numbers. Because this machine obviously can be a beast as far as cutting stone and keeping a lot of people busy on the polishing end of things. But we realized as a small business, and when I say small, we're typically only handling a couple kitchens a week, maybe 3 or 4 at peak times. And what we're doing is we're giving people a full package. So it's like start to finish on their kitchen project. And so for us, the stone part of it is a component, a major component for us. But when we push a button and walk away from the machine, it's the best 18 minutes of my day. I'm just going to tell you that right now. But the unintended benefits of this was a customer focus. So when we bring our customers in and we're making the sale, if you think as a fabricator, if you think that people really don't care about the tooling that you use to cut your stone, I'm going to let you know that we are living proof that that is not accurate. We use the robot as a selling tool because we recognize that people buy on relationship most times, especially impulse purchases, which I never would have figured stone would be that way because we're used to a much more drawn out purchasing plan with respect to a full kitchen. But stone a lot of times it's like we've been thinking about doing this for a while and today's the day. So when we walk them through our production facility, and we live in cottage country here in Western New York, and so we have kind of a small town vibe to us. But when they notice the equipment we have, they recognize that we're doing this for real. It's not just something that we just kind of slap some things together. We've done it the primitive way for a lot of years. We've enjoyed the benefit of having a push and go kind of mentality with this. But I will tell you that our customers know that if they find value in something, that is what we're going to spend our effort on. So if they find value in a shorter lead time, we bring people in, we show them the equipment, and we tell them, listen, it's not just about driving this great sports car that we've got here. We did this for your benefit, and that is if you're looking for your countertops, we can cut lead time ridiculously shorter than what most of our competitors are doing in our area. Now I say ridiculously shorter. This is not, there's no smoke associated with this. It's literally we offer next day service if need be. Now there's a premium for that. It's another way for us to generate a little extra revenue. But I will tell you that most of the time our lead time on countertops, we're usually a week or less. I don't think we've ever been more than 10 days out, and that's easy for us to do because of our volume, okay? But I will tell you that if we decided to do even 3 or 4 times what we're doing for volume, I believe we could still maintain that same kind of schedule. So that's just one of the unintended benefits we recognize. Not to mention all the other things like how it's easier to polish and all the things downstream from the operation. Less fit on the job site as far as install, fit issues, those kind of things. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. And we do talk about it a lot being, a selling tool and being able to, provide that value back to the customer. And so it's fantastic to hear that it's, that you're living proof of it and realizing it. And so, Bobby, I'll come to you. We've obviously had a chance. I know you guys were looking to add a second SawJet initially, and you gave us the opportunity to come into your shop. Why don't you talk to us about maybe where you guys were at with your business, what made you guys move to Baca initially, and then really how that has turned into your capital equipment purchases and what it's done to your labor in your shop.
Yeah. So what's going on, Nick?
Hi, Bobby.
Hard Rock Stoneworks, a lot of people don't know our background. Back in 99, 2000, we were a very primitive shop as well, just like JD. I can remember the days of fabricating, 2 kitchens a day and then going to install them later on that day. At that point, the time of even thinking about even purchasing a CNC when, we had the cockiness of saying, hey, we can be faster than these machines and stuff like that. What's the purpose of it? Really went out the window. I'd probably say, when we purchased the first robot, for me, coming from hand fabrication, hand cutting, all of that stuff, to see where we're at now was pretty incredible. Gives us a lot of time to work on, the business instead of just how to get the product out the door, and hopefully a good product at that point. So if we kind of go back, Hard Rock was about 4,000 square feet a week when we first got the first robot. Fast forward a couple years later, when we purchased 2.0, which was a pretty easy decision at that point because we had a couple of years to work with the robot, the first one that we got. At that point, we realized as a production shop, and the way that we were growing every single year, because we cover all those through Michigan, a lot of commercial nationwide stuff, that being able to speed to market to the customer with countertops and still be able to keep a quality product was huge for us. And Nick, you talked about a couple things today that's important. One being that a lot of our jobs, we only run 3 CNC machines. 2 robots, 3 CNC machines doing that kind of volume. People are kind of surprised when they come, see our shop or operation, whether it's a new contract or whatever. The benefit is like you said earlier, being able to cut kitchens and going right to fabrication and flat polish a kitchen or seam up a kitchen a certain way, to be able to benefit you as a fabricator. Those are huge things, selling tool. JD, I know you just said that I couldn't agree more. We use it all the time for designers. We bring them in our shop, try to revenue more designer work, we show them what the robot's capable of, and at that point, I feel like we just close the deal. As far as bodies are concerned, our main issue at this point, and people are welcome to come to my shop, is trying to keep up with the robot. Production, as far as bottlenecking at the robot, has completely gone away, which obviously cuts down labor. So we run 2 shifts right now. We run 8.5-hour shifts. I got 2 operators on the first shift and 1 helper. And then on the second shift, I have 1 operator and 1 helper. Second shift is probably about 15 to 20% less than what first shift is. Nevertheless, I'm doing all that kind of square footage with that amount of people. Downstream, right, is the most important thing, right? Because we know we're trying to collect all the information. Us as fabricators, that's where we really get burned. If we don't collect the right information upstream and we're doing that work upstream, then it's just going to kind of go down the line till we get to the customer's house. And we always say as a company, right, that we're a service company first and a countertop company second. We try to really live by that because that's what gets our name pushed. It's also really nice to have it, to be able to really lean on our machines and bring, new commercial work, people that give us a last look or last bid on stuff to walk through our production facility and see, wow, these guys are nonstop. If you walk through the shop, you'll never see the robot. You hit on that earlier, Nick. I couldn't agree with that. Going from one table to the next, how important that is, right? Just because sometimes you have the machinery capable of being able to do that kind of volume, your upfront process is just as important as well. So we've obviously seen, a reduction as far as workforce as the robot's concerned, which is good, but, more accurate, less mistakes. I come from a world of, I was pretty good on a gantry machine. You make mistakes. Every time you make a mistake, chalk it up as $1,000 loss. Those days are completely gone. So just with the reduction of workforce, but more importantly, being able to concentrate and focus on the business and how to revenue more money and make more money, I think that's one of the most important things that we have received from BACA Systems.
Excellent. Thank you. So I'm going to ask JD, I hope you don't feel left out on this one, but I'm going to ask a quick question to Bobby and Fred because it's an important part of this, and just a quick response from each of you. Both of you guys came from gantry style sawjets. Tell me what you think the biggest difference is between them, and I'll let Fred go first.
The primary issue, like you said earlier, is maintenance. The Northwood, Northwood's a good company. They have great service. They service our machines well. We've tended to use their service a lot. We have our own technicians, but just over the phone, and then just parts. The screws have gone bad 3 or 4 times. The gantry screws, that is a major overhaul on a machine. We've had other issues. We've gotten very good at repairing the machines and keeping them running. But parts and just to tie them down and stuff like that, that gets to be expensive. It gets to be frustrating when you're doing the volume that we're doing, and we're using machines to the capacity we're doing. All of our machinery right now is running about 20 hours a day. So having the machine down puts a lot of strain on things, and I would say the maintenance is the primary difference between the two.
Thank you. Bobby?
I would honestly say consistency. Consistency would be number one, and being able to level load a schedule and know that the work's going to get done.
Okay, excellent. I think we just touched on that one. What do we got for another question coming through here? How many people are needed to run your Robo SawJet? JD, how many people do you have in your SawJet?
Well, that question is kind of an interesting one because we actually program at the saw, right? So if we're in a higher production setup, we wouldn't be programming at the saw. We wouldn't be wasting important saw time doing that. And plus, being a single table, our situation might be a little bit different. But I will tell you that we typically have one person running the saw, and another person helping with material movement. Because there's a few pieces, load slabs. We usually do that with 2 people. We have obviously, one of the things that's cool about our shop is we were a little bit ahead of the curve before we got into the robotics world with our material movement. We were one of these shops that we just do not lift stone by hand. It's just what we don't do. And so we load slabs and whatnot. I can remember talking specifically to you about this situation, like, what do you think about rotating some of these exotics that we're cutting? And you're like, don't worry about it. It might be an event the first few times you do it, and wouldn't you know it, we have become completely comfortable doing that. Not comfortable as in complacent, but comfortable knowing that we haven't had a fail on that. So we have one full-time operator when the saw is running, one full-time operator, and then one person helping. And sometimes it's me, because I've been known to answer the phone and sweep the floor too, even though I own the place. But what's cool about that is that we typically will cut our entire production for the week on Monday morning before lunch. Okay, so that it gives you an idea, because we have the floor space and the staging area to do those kind of things, and so we consolidate all that together. And if there's changes throughout the week, then obviously we'll fire the saw up. But we are cutting other materials. We're not just cutting stone or quartz. We are cutting other things like glass and steel and stuff like that with it, just to support some of our other operations we have here at the shop. So I'm going to say 1.5 people, maybe 1.25.
Okay. And then I'll let Fred. How many people do you have in your cutting department?
We actually have 3 for two machines. So we still use the gantry machine and the Baca. They're located right next to each other. So we have one primary operator of each, and then one guy who's swinging back and forth, helping load and unload, so that neither machine is ever just sitting there not cutting. And it seems to work pretty well. We can keep both machines going pretty well full speed. And they, like I said, they operate right now. We had with the just increased volume that we're at, we've had a increase each shift is working 10-hour shifts. So we're doing about 20 hours on both machines.
Okay, excellent. So listen, I know we're getting a ton of questions on Robolution coming through right now. None of these guys have Robolutions. We're going to be doing a series on the 5-axis SawJet that's coming out. And so I promise we'll address all of the Robolution questions as they come. You know, we're just trying to stay really focused on the robot this time. And then obviously these guys have the experience with the Robo SawJet. So so we'll go on to some questions that are a little more geared to this. Bobby, will you talk about programming with the machine?
Yeah, I mean, you know, depending on the application, I mean, right now what we're really playing around with was commercial work, right? Being able to template work in the field, send back DXF, right? Being able to cut right on the robot within 24 to 48 hours. Seems to be working really well. Programming, obviously, at the saw, depending on certain kind of veining material, slabsmith gets me so far. We still use a lot of programming on the saw still, you know, for common cutting and things like that. It's just one of those things, you know, honestly, when you get used to the machine, you know what you're kind of capable of. I always tell people, let the machine do the work. Once you get used to it at that point, then start getting fancy with it. Anytime you ever see a mistake off the robot, I almost guarantee it's going to be a user error. So we let the machine do what it's supposed to do. So we try to program as much as we can upstream, but there's still a lot of stuff that we do on the robot. Still way faster than trying to pull out templates and overlay them on the slabs and you name what we used to do, right? JD, you're pretty familiar with that as I am too. So
Preach it, brother. Preach it.
We use it in many different ways. So, I mean, obviously a lot faster, a lot more consistent, less errors.
So you were previously barcoding as well, right? And today, if I'm correct on your process, you are slab smithing the material, you are nesting it in the office, and then you are sending it downstream and letting the operator make the decision on the cam pathing. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I know that's a big conversation at Baca Systems, and I'm not clear on how Fred's doing it in his facility. Are you barcoding, Fred, or are you doing something similar to what we were just describing?
Very similar. I mean, all of our jobs have a job ID that they can just immediately just type in a 6-digit number and it pulls up everything for the job. The jobs are all staged. As far as we're trying to do everything possible that we can do in the office, our goal is to continue to work with Baca to almost eliminate as much as possible of any type of programming that actually has to be done on the machine. But the Baca software in general, compared to the other SawJet software, it's pretty much automatic as far as putting in the cut lines and the directional and the paths and so forth like that. The Baca software is just so much more straightforward, so much easier and faster that even though we're doing that on the fly at the saw. We are doing the slab smiths and stuff and providing those beforehand. It's still so much faster than the other software that it is it's amazing. We are still trying to take that to the next level and just to further reduce stuff that's done at the saw, just because by doing things at the saw, I mean, the thing is you got experts in your office and expert programmers and so forth, and they can kind of double check for little issues and stuff like that. But it is night and day difference as far as the speed of the software and the ease of use, both for the programmers and the operators.
Okay, excellent. So so I think we're running out of I think we're running out of time here. So I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to wrap it with one more question for each of you. If the need arises, would you buy another KUKA Robo SawJet?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's 100%
Probably not
for sure.
It's probably win.
What? I'm sorry. What?
Probably not. I would probably say it's probably not if, it's probably when.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, thank you all for your time. I really appreciate you, you know, getting out of your day to day and spending it with us for this virtual fabrication seminar. We really appreciate it. And, you know, as always, for everybody that's tuning in, you know, you can check us out on our website. You can, you know, contact your sales rep who will come and visit your facility. Or as always, we love to fly our customers to Detroit and show you guys what we're doing here. And then obviously we're on social media, and so please feel free to like us and reach out to us, and we'd love to hear from you. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.